Welcome to the Bible Weaver, where ancient words breathe again, and every whisper of faith becomes a living prayer. This is Psalms of Stillness, Episode 2, Psalm 91. Under His Wings. If this refuge of peace brings calm to your heart, remember to like, share, and subscribe, so others may also find rest beneath His shadow. There is a secret place that few discover while the sun is shining. It waits in the hush between fear and faith, a shelter not built by hands, but by presence. Those who dwell there do not escape the storm. They are simply held within it. He who dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. The verse begins like a doorway, an invitation whispered in the language of trust. It does not promise an easy road, only a refuge for those who choose to stay. The shadow of the Almighty. What a strange comfort that word is. Most shadows hide, but this one protects. Most shadows mark the absence of light, but this shadow is cast by a light so vast that the heart can rest beneath it. There are days when the world feels sharp and unkind, when the air carries the weight of unseen battles, fear of tomorrow, the quiet panic of loss, the ache of being human in a world that trembles. In such days, the soul begins to look for cover. Some run toward distraction, some build walls of certainty, but a few, the weary, the watchful, remember a different refuge. The wings of the Almighty. The psalm does not begin in triumph. It begins in surrender. To dwell is to remain. To abide is to trust that even when the ground shakes, God is not moved. Whoever finds this secret place does not boast. They simply breathe easier. They have learned that safety is not the absence of danger, but the nearness of God. David's soldiers once carried shields of iron. The psalmist speaks of wings, because protection is not always strength. Sometimes it is softness, the covering of compassion spread over terror. The language of war turns into the language of care. He will cover you with His feathers, and under His wings you will find refuge. This image has no edges, no armor, only warmth. Imagine it, a heartbeat above your head, a breath surrounding your fear, the world still raging but you hidden beneath something eternal. Faith begins there, not when you are fearless, but when you are sheltered enough to be honest about your fear. The psalm does not tell you to pretend, it tells you to stay, because the secret place is not a location, it is a relationship. It is the space between your weakness and His strength, between your trembling and His peace. And so tonight, before the words of Psalm 91 unfold, pause for a moment. Listen to your own breath. It is the same rhythm that moved through the desert, through the prophets, through the quiet heart of every believer who ever whispered, "I will trust you." The world outside may not change, but the soul within will. The shadows will remain, but beneath them, wings will spread. You are not forgotten. You are covered. You are seen. And somewhere in that invisible refuge, the shepherd of Psalm 23 becomes the guardian of Psalm 91. Welcome to Psalms of Stillness. Psalm 91, Under His Wings. He who dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. The words rise like a sanctuary built from breath. They are not meant to be hurried. They are meant to be lived in. To dwell is not to visit, it is to stay. The secret place is not found by the proud, but by those who have grown tired of running. I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress, my God. In Him I will trust. Faith always begins with declaration. Even when the voice trembles, even when certainty wavers, the soul still chooses to say, He is my refuge. Not the world, not strength, not self, only him. Surely he shall deliver you from the snare of the fowler and from the deadly pestilence. In ancient days, the fowler's trap was silent, hidden beneath leaves. It caught without warning. So do the traps of this age. Worry, pride, despair, distraction. Yet God delivers not only from danger, but from blindness to it. He shall cover you with his feathers, and under his wings you shall take refuge. His truth shall be your shield and buckler. Not iron, not stone. Truth itself becomes the armor, a shield not against pain, but against the lies that pain whispers. You are alone. You are forgotten. The wings answer softly. You are not. You shall not be afraid of the terror by night, nor of the arrow that flies by day, nor of the pestilence that walks in darkness, nor of the destruction that wastes at noonday. The psalmist lists the fears of every hour: night terrors, day attacks, unseen diseases, sudden ruin. He knows that fear never sleeps, but faith does not deny fear. It denies fear authority. Do not be afraid, he says, not because evil disappears, but because love endures longer. 1,000 may fall at your side, and 10,000 at your right hand, but it shall not come near you. These are not words of arrogance, but of assurance. Safety in God does not mean immunity. It means intimacy. Even when others fall, you are held. Even when the world breaks, you are remembered. Only with your eyes shall you look and see the reward of the wicked. For you, O Lord, are my refuge. You have made the Most High your dwelling place. Evil will always have its moment, but never the last word. Those who build their house in trust will stand when every tower of pride falls. No evil shall befall you, nor shall any plague come near your dwelling. For he shall give his angels charge over you to keep you in all your ways. There it is, the unseen company. Not myth, not metaphor. Ministry, angels, silent sentinels of mercy, moving through the ordinary hours, holding what our strength cannot. In the darkness, they guard. In confusion, they guide. They shall bear you up in their hands, lest you dash your foot against a stone. Every stumble that did not destroy you, that was grace carrying you unseen. You shall tread upon the lion and the cobra, the young lion and the serpent you shall trample underfoot. The psalm shifts from fear to authority. It is not human pride that steps on the serpent. It is divine presence within a trusting soul. The shepherd of Psalm 23 has become a warrior. The same hands that led you to still waters now lift you above the storm. Because he has set his love upon me, therefore I will deliver him. I will set him on high because he has known my name. Love becomes protection. To know God's name is to know his nature, faithful, gentle, fierce in mercy. He shall call upon me and I will answer him. I will be with him in trouble. I will deliver him and honor him. The promise is not freedom from trouble, but companionship within it. I will be with him in trouble. Those words alone are enough to rebuild hope. With long life, I will satisfy him and show him my salvation. The psalm ends not with distance, but with nearness. Not with fear, but with fulfillment. Salvation is not merely escape from death. It is the discovery that life, even in its frailty, is held by eternal hands. To dwell in the shadow of the Almighty is to find rest in what the world cannot see. It is to stand beneath invisible wings, to trust in the unseen shelter that turns chaos into calm. The one who abides there does not walk unscathed. They walk unshaken, because peace is not found in the absence of threat, but in the presence of God. And when fear rises again, as it always will, the soul will remember this song, this ancient promise, sung beneath the feathers of love. He who dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. There were nights when the sound of war was not drums but breathing, the slow, fearful rhythm of soldiers waiting for dawn. The earth trembled under sandals, and the air smelled of iron. Somewhere beyond the hills, an army gathered, and in a cave lit only by a flickering flame, David prayed. He was not yet the king that the world would remember. He was a fugitive, a hunted man, living between promise and peril. His enemies were many, his allies few, but even in the shadow of the sword, David carried something stronger than steel, a voice that refused to be silenced. It was there, in the wilderness, that he learned what dwelling in the secret place of the Most High truly meant. It was not about temples or rituals. It was the quiet decision to remain near God when everything else was falling apart. Each night, before sleep, he would whisper the same truth to his trembling heart. You are my refuge and my fortress, my God. In you I will trust. At first, the words were survival, a wall against panic. But over time, they became worship. Faith transformed from a plea into a presence. The danger remained, but the fear began to change shape. David watched arrows rise against the moonlight, but he no longer believed they could touch what was eternal. He had seen too much to mistake comfort for safety. He understood now. The shepherd who guided him through valleys could also shield him in battle. When he wrote, "He will cover you with his feathers," he was not writing poetry. He was remembering mercy. He had felt it, the invisible shelter, the calm that settles even when the enemy is near. The wings of God were not fantasy. They were memory. Sometimes the psalmist would see birds nesting among the rocks, fragile, defenseless creatures surviving storms by staying close to the cliff's face. And he realized that faith was not about flight, but about shelter. God did not always remove the storm. He simply became the cliff. He began to see the world differently. Every danger was a teacher, every silence a summons, every fear a place to meet God again. There was a day when he marched through the desert, the sun merciless, his men weary. They had heard of pestilence sweeping through the land, of sickness claiming thousands. Death walked unseen through the tents of enemies and friends alike. Yet somehow, David's camp was spared. At night, he wrote by lamplight. 1,000 may fall at your side, 10,000 at your right hand, but it shall not come near you. He was not boasting. He was bearing witness. David understood that faith is not proved in safety, but in surrender. When you have nothing left to protect yourself, you learn that protection was never yours to begin with. He had seen plague, famine, betrayal, and still he wrote of angels. He believed in the unseen guardians, not because he saw them, but because he had survived too many moments he shouldn't have. He had fallen from cliffs and walked away. He had stood before giants and lived. He had watched arrows miss by inches and called it grace. And somewhere along the way, the shepherd who comforted him in Psalm 23 became the Almighty who shielded him in Psalm 91. It was the same God, just a different battle. David never forgot the secret place, that invisible refuge beneath the wings of trust. He taught his soldiers to pray before they fought, not for victory, but for peace, that whatever happened, they would dwell in the shadow of the Almighty. And when at last the war was over, when the swords were sheathed and the night was still, David would sit by the fire and whisper the psalm again, softly, almost to himself. He who dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. It was no longer just a prayer of protection. It was a memory of belonging. Every scar was proof of shelter. Every heartbeat, a reminder that wings had covered him. The path of the psalmist was not an escape from danger. It was the discovery that God's shadow is brighter than the world's light. He walked through fear, and fear lost its shape. He walked through death, and death lost its sting. He walked beneath wings invisible to all but faith, and he was never the same again. There are verses that speak softly, and there are verses that hold you when the world comes apart. Psalm 91 is one of them. Its words have crossed centuries of fear, through wars, through plagues, through sleepless nights. They have been whispered in hospital corridors, carried in soldiers' pockets, taped to the walls of lonely apartments. They have been read beside graves and sung in recovery rooms. Always the same cry, he who dwells in the secret place of the Most High. For some, it is a shield. For others, a lullaby. But for all who whisper it in faith, it becomes a refuge, not against the storm, but within it. The modern world is full of invisible battles. Our enemies no longer wear armor or carry swords. They are quieter. Anxiety, exhaustion, self-doubt, the slow ache of loneliness that creeps in after midnight. We fight with our minds and hearts more than our hands. And yet, the psalm still fits, because the human heart has not changed. It still fears the dark. It still searches for safety in a world that trembles. It still needs a place to rest, a secret place. He will cover you with his feathers, and under his wings you will find refuge. These words sound impossible to a logical age. But logic cannot comfort the soul. You cannot reason away fear. You can only rest through it. You cannot silence pain. You can only bring it beneath a greater peace. There was a nurse once, working through a night of chaos when the ward was full and the air heavy with sirens. She said she repeated Psalm 91 over and over between patients, not to escape the fear, but to carry peace into it. I whispered it, she said, because I needed to believe someone larger than me was still in control. There was a father who prayed it outside an ICU door, a woman who whispered it on a flight through turbulence, a soldier who memorized it in basic training and spoke it aloud in the dust of a foreign battlefield. And there was a man who had lost everything: his job, his home, his family's trust. He sat in a shelter, the noise of strangers around him, and read Psalm 91 from a worn Bible with half its cover torn off. I don't know what to do next, he said, but for now, I'll just stay under his wings. That is what faith looks like, not certainty, but shelter. The shadow of the Almighty is not darkness, it is covering. It is the awareness that you are seen when no one else notices, protected when you cannot protect yourself, loved even when you have nothing left to give. The psalmist did not say, "You will not walk through danger." He said, "You will not walk alone." That single difference changes everything, because the valley will come, the arrow will fly, the night will fall, but so will the wings. Faith does not erase fear, it outlasts it. It does not promise immunity, it promises intimacy. It does not remove the battle, it joins you in it. You may not see angels, but you will notice how certain disasters never reach you, how certain moments of collapse somehow turn to clarity, how you survive what should have ended you. Those are the hands that bear you up. And even when the plague does come near, when the body fails, when the night is too long, when loss seems final, the psalm remains true. Because deliverance is not always escape. Sometimes it is endurance. Sometimes it is simply the power to keep breathing while everything hurts. The secret place is not an address. It is awareness. It is what happens when your fear and your faith occupy the same breath. And somehow, faith wins. Maybe you've been there, in that half-lit space between despair and hope, between prayer and silence, between wanting to run and learning to rest. If you have, you know the shadow. And if you've ever felt peace where none should exist, you have known the wings. We all long for safety, but what we truly need is presence. Safety can be taken away. Presence cannot. The psalm does not invite you to control your world. It invites you to hide in His. So tonight, as you hear these words again, He who dwells in the secret place of the Most High, don't just listen. Enter. Let the words become walls around your worry, a roof above your rest, a whisper within your breath. You are not outside of God's care. You are inside His keeping. The world will tremble again, but those who dwell beneath the wings will not, because peace is not the absence of threat. It is the presence of the Almighty. Take a deep breath. Let the world fall away for a moment. Let the voices quiet, the lights fade, the heart slow. There is nothing to fix right now. There is only this, you and the presence of God. Breathe in, peace. Breathe out, fear. Whisper softly, He who dwells in the secret place of the Most High. Say it again, not louder, truer. He who dwells, that means staying, remaining, not visiting God when it's convenient, but learning to live beneath His shadow, to make the presence of the Almighty your address. Breathe again. In, the Lord is near. Out, I am safe. Now imagine yourself beneath great wings, vast, warm, and weightless. You do not have to reach for them. They have already reached for you. The world outside still moves, but under these wings, time slows, and you remember what peace feels like. You have been running too long. Let the shepherd find you again. Let the guardian cover you. The psalm says, He will cover you with His feathers, and under His wings you will find refuge. Picture it now. You can almost feel the air shifting around you, the stillness, the safety. This is not imagination. This is memory. Your soul has known this place before. For a moment, let go of the need to control everything. You do not need to hold the world together. You are never asked to. God holds you, and that is enough. Breathe again. In, under His wings. Out, I will not fear. Maybe there are things in your life that feel heavy right now. A sickness that won't lift, a relationship fraying, a future that won't unfold. Lay them down here, one by one, like stones on the ground. The shadow can carry them. You don't have to. Say quietly, I dwell in the secret place of the Most High. Let that truth wrap around you like light around darkness. You are not outside of God's reach. You are inside His refuge. There are angels in this psalm, silent, watchful, unseen. They do not come with trumpets or wings of flame. They come in quiet moments. The message that arrives when you are about to give up. The friend who checks in without knowing why. The peace that suddenly steadies you at 3 a.m. Those are the hands that lift you up. Breathe in, I am kept. Breathe out, I am loved. You may not always feel brave, but courage is not a roar. Sometimes it is a whisper beneath the wings, a single heartbeat that says, I will trust again. God does not demand fearlessness. He offers companionship. He is not asking you to fight the night alone. He is asking you to rest while He watches. Let that truth sink deeper. Let your shoulders unclench, your jaw loosen, your heartbeat slow. You are safe here. You are seen here. You are whole here. Every breath you take in this quiet is a prayer. Every exhale is surrender. You may hear the world outside, its noise, its demands, but they cannot touch you here. You are beneath the wings now, in the secret place where faith breathes without fear. When the psalm says, "You will not fear the terror by night," it does not mean you will never feel afraid. It means fear will no longer rule you. The shadow of the Almighty casts peace deeper than panic. It teaches you to be still in storms. Close your eyes again and say softly, "He is my refuge and my fortress, my God. In Him I will trust." Not as a verse, but as a vow. Trust does not erase the valley. It simply means you do not walk it alone. If your thoughts begin to wander, bring them back to breath. In, the Most High. Out, my refuge. The wings remain. The shadow remains. The presence remains. Even when you leave this moment, it will go with you. When the world wakes you again, when the noise returns, when the day demands more than you have, remember this secret place. It is not a destination. It is a dwelling. It moves with you. Wherever you are, the hospital room, the traffic jam, the sleepless night, the wings will find you. You do not have to earn them. You only have to remember them. Now breathe once more. In, under His wings. Out, I find rest. Stay here a little longer. Let the silence speak. Let the stillness pray. Let the love that holds galaxies hold you too. And when you are ready, whisper this final truth, not with your lips, but with your life. He who dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. You are safe. You are loved. You are home. The night has grown quiet again. The words of the psalm have done their work, not by solving what waits outside, but by softening what trembles within. You have sat beneath the wings, and for a little while, the world has felt lighter. That is not illusion. That is remembrance. You were made to rest in this shadow, to live in this peace. Do not rush away. Let the silence linger like perfume after prayer. Every breath still belongs to the secret place. Every heartbeat still echoes the promise. He who dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. When morning comes, the noise will return, and fear will try to speak first. Answer it gently. I know where I live. I dwell beneath His wings. May the peace that covered you here follow you into the day. May the unseen angels of the Almighty walk at your side, holding you steady when strength wavers, lifting you when hope grows thin. May courage find you in small moments, in laughter that heals, in kindness that surprises, in love that endures. And when the night comes again, when shadows lengthen and the heart grows tired, remember, the wings have not moved. They wait where they always were, above you, around you, within you. You are never outside of the shepherd's sight, never beyond the guardian's reach, never forgotten by the one who calls you his own. Rest now in that truth. Let it be your refuge and your song. Carry it into every valley and every dawn. For goodness and mercy follow you, and the Almighty keeps you, and His shadow will never fade. The Lord is your refuge. The Most High is your dwelling place, and under His wings you will always find home. Amen. You've been listening to Psalms of Stillness, Psalm 91, Under His Wings from the Bible Weaver, where every word becomes a prayer and every silence becomes sacred.